And we are live and we are early, folks. Welcome back to the Tesla Talks podcast. Week number 3, I believe it is. No, sorry, week number 1 for June 2020. And we have a special guest, like we try to get a special guest on every week. We got a really special guest all the way. He flew in all the way from the U.S., from sunny Florida. He didn't
His
fly.
arms are
He's
still
actually,
tired.
yeah, his arms are tired and he's looking good because that's why he's wearing a tank top. Welcome everyone to the show. Raf from Teslatino. How you doing, Raf?
Good guys, how are you? Everything
Very,
good?
very good, very good. Thanks for joining us on the show.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Oh, perfect, perfect. We're really excited. When I told these guys down below here that you were coming on, they were psyched. Speaking of these guys down below, in order from left to right, welcome back our usuals, our regulars, but they're still special to me. Franklin from Mother Frunker, welcome to the show, buddy. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Yeah, always glad to be here. I
that's
think I
a-
say that every week. You say that.
Yes,
So
yes. Well, it's thankful in both ways, right? And that's an awesome Cybertruck you have in the background there. Every week, you never disappoint.
yeah, it's.
Good image.
I think I've been going with Cybertrucks too much. People are starting to see my obsession a little.
No, it can never be too much. And on our right, last but never least, Paul from Tesla Canuck. Thanks for joining us, Paul.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me, Dax.
No problem. We missed you last week, but you apparently, I think you were on the week before that. Whenever you can make it, that's great. Whenever you can't, I obviously understand. As if you guys are regular to the podcast or listening, if you're listening, you probably wouldn't notice. But if you're regular to watching it, you notice I'm in a little different background today. I decided to come out of the basement cellar, literally, and come upstairs. It's an awesome day, so I figured I'd come out here in the backyard. With that said, it's supposed to rain. They're calling for possible thunderstorms. So, like I said to these guys, if halfway through the show or even in the next, knock on wood, I don't have wood here. The tree's over there.
I got you.
You got it. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah.
If for any reason my screen goes blank and my audio goes blank, you guys cover for me. I'll need like 2 or 3 minutes to scramble and take everything, the whole kit and caboodle. I'll run inside and we'll continue from there. But knock on wood, hopefully that won't happen. We'll try to do this for an hour and respect everyone's time and get out of here. So without any further ado, I do this every week. I think you guys know by now, by the people that listen, you can leave your questions for us if you have any questions at our Gmail address, teslatalksquestions@gmail.com. That's where you can leave your questions, or any of the social media platforms. You can get me on or get any of these guys on and just tell them it's a question for the podcast, and they'll transfer it to me and pass it on, and we'll go from there. But all that out of the way, I want to get down to some exciting stuff. First of all, like I said, we welcomed Raf earlier, but like we do a little segment on the show, every special guest we get on, we want to just, I guess, pry into their private lives and figure out where they're coming from, where they came from, what got them into Tesla and stuff like that. So Raf is no different. Just because he's all the way from from Florida. FLA is what I was thinking in my head.
Good save.
Good save, eh? I figure, you know what? You're not out of the woods either, buddy. Can you tell us what got you into Tesla? A little bit of background about you and obviously you have a love for Tesla.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, it started way before Tesla. I actually knew about Elon and his ventures with, PayPal, the sell to eBay, and I don't know. He's always been someone that I appreciated in terms, business wise. And then when things really ramped up for me was when the rumors started about the whole Tesla thing. When they first revealed the plans for the Roadster, the original Roadster, and I actually saw it cost like I want one of those, and then I realized I was too poor for it. It was too expensive, too much money for that. Only like movie stars would be able to buy it, and that's actually what happened. Like, so Arnold Schwarzenegger getting one and so on. But it was kind of dormant for me because I didn't see a quick transition to more affordable vehicles. And then when things started trickling down and all the plans started to materialize, that's when I started getting all excited about it. But things really ramped up for me basically in the same year that the Model 3 was announced and revealed. I was waiting for that moment for over, I want to say like for 2 years since the Model S came out, and was super excited to see what the future was going to bring for Tesla, because I definitely wanted to get in on the more affordable version. And then I put my reservation in, and like a lot of people waited 2 years for it. But it wasn't until about a year before the actual car started being delivered when I got like really motivated, because I had a motorcycle accident and I almost lost my life. And the whole Tesla family, even though I didn't have a car yet, I embraced it and they embraced me. When the car started coming out, I was still waiting for it. I had, friends that, well, now they are friends, but I didn't know them. And I have a neighbor that you guys may have heard from. His name is Michael. He runs a channel on YouTube also, Tesla Tunity. And then he actually gave me a ride in his car. He didn't know me. We just met for that. He's a neighbor. He lives like 15 minutes away, and I got blown
Oh, does
away.
he? Oh,
Yeah. So my recovery was really hard from the motorcycle accident. I spent 9 months in bed. Basically, I couldn't do anything for myself. I had a couple of surgeries, and just the whole thing with Tesla kept me going, right? And then when it was finally time to pick up my car, I never looked back. I wasn't even getting out of the house before I got my car, and then I just haven't stopped. Like I put 52,000 miles in my car in my first Tesla in the first year alone. So um, I went to Canada. I visited some of you guys, and I went to California twice. It was really, really something else. It was really, really cool.
yeah. Wow. So really, I know a lot of people say it, but literally, Tesla changed your life after your accident.
It did. It did. It gave me this purpose that I was looking for a really long time. Like everybody, I had some dreams, and some of them were unattainable at the moment. And I really always wanted to see if I could find something to live this world better than it was in even if it was just a small way, right? So this has given me the chance to help educate others about the Tesla mission, which should be our human mission for sustainable energy and transportation. And I think it's been really rewarding. I made some really, really amazing friends, some really good friends out of the Tesla community, to the point where, like, I know that I made friends for life. And
Well,
I was always, a very friendly, happy person, but this has taken it to a different level.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, it's very hard to explain. It almost sounds like you're making it up, but I'm not. It took me out of a depression, basically, made me come out to live my life again to the fullest, and I haven't looked back. It's been great, fantastic.
It's
Yeah.
good stuff.
No, it's a story that, as you can hear in my voice, speechless. I mean, I've heard the story before, but to hear it actually again, and maybe it's what's going on in the world and everything like that. It's uplifting. It's an uplifting, positive story, which is good for
Well,
people
I'll tell
to
you what.
listen to.
I even I took it one step further. I started doing meetups with people down here where I live.
Yeah.
After a very short time after I got my car, I started like just wanted to socialize with people. I used to race cars in road courses, and I have this sense when it comes to cars. I have this sense of community always, and we started doing meetups here, going to parks and doing barbecues and stuff like that. And the group started talking about uh, becoming an official Tesla club. So uh, we actually made it happen, right? So I was able to be the founder. I got approval from Tesla, so we are running a local club down here, the Tesla Owners South Florida Club. I am the president and
Cool.
founder of it, so I'm doing my part. Definitely doing my part.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've heard you're working hard with that club down there, and it's interesting. I didn't know that you and Mike are so close. actually, like even location wise. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he lives a stone throw away. Really,
Awesome.
yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, that's another Tesla person I'd like to get on the show one day is Mike. So if you're listening, Mike, or anyone knows Mike, tell him that I'll be calling on him very soon to be on the podcast too, if he can or if he wants. So that's good to know. You know, it's funny. A little backstory on top of Raf's story. We know. I've known you probably for about a year and a half, but I met you for the first time last year. When did you come up here? Was it July or August? I want to say
It was in October last year. Yeah.
No, October?
September, October.
Okay.
September, October. Yeah.
Okay, maybe.
Yeah, I remember it because I remember how large of a turnout we had, considering it was like a quote unquote working day, and we still had like a mass number of people that came out during midweek on a working day in the middle of
in the middle
like
of
October. Yeah,
it was really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it was awesome.
It was October, eh? Why did I think it was the summer? I remember it was hot.
It was really hot.
And I remember you were surprised because you didn't think Canada was.
Sometimes it happens.
Yeah,
Climate change.
Exactly.
Maybe it was September, but it was no later than that. Yeah.
Yeah, and then a few months later, we met down in California at the Cybertruck event, and that was cool. We had a good time there in line.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we missed the test ride by what? This much maybe?
I was 10 feet away when they closed the line.
Buddy, it is what it is. We can't go back and
that happens when you take too much advantage of the happy hour.
Yes. You had a good time. We all had a good time.
Yeah.
What now? I know you're on your, for people at home that don't know, don't want to put words in your mouth, but you're on your second Model 3, right?
Yeah. My first one was, one with VIN number 18,955. I remember like it's a date of birth or something. I don't know.
Wow.
It's weird. Wow. Got that car on May 29, and I picked it up. It lasted with me until last January when I picked up the new one.
Yeah, and now you've gone balls out on a new one, right? You're looking at a performance.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Good for you. Now, I mean, I've asked this from other people. Actually, no, have I? No, I've asked people that have it, but I've never asked someone that has had you had the one on May 29th. The first one was a rear-wheel drive.
Yes.
Right? So you can tell me, what's the difference in terms of speed? Like, how different is it between that and the performance one?
It's almost dumb. It's so different.
Yeah.
Yeah, this car is so fantastic. It's got a lot of power off the line. It's a really quick car. And it's very efficient. I'm very surprised about it. I think you guys lost my camera. I'm trying to fix that.
Yeah, no worries.
But yeah, definitely this new car is it's something else, man. It's really awesome. I'm very happy with it. I think they completely broke the mold with this one. Not that the rear-wheel drive wasn't a great car. It's actually probably I like them the same. I think I don't like one more than the other, but I think the Performance Model 3 is what it needed to be since the beginning for me. I actually wanted to get that car first, and I didn't get it because it wasn't available when I was able to actually take delivery of the car. I had to settle for the rear-wheel drive.
Yeah,
and
settle.
Yeah, I had to because they weren't making it. Then I picked up my car, and like 2 months later, they started rolling out the Performance, which was like, oh man, come on.
Oh no.
Really?
Yeah.
So that was
people. It's funny you say that. I know exactly what you're saying. I know exactly what you mean. But people at home that aren't Tesla fans probably wouldn't be watching this anyways. But if anyone else was to hear us say this, they'd be like, really? Tesla owners saying they had to settle? But I totally understand where you're coming from. I know exactly what you mean.
I'm one of those people.
Yeah, well, all three of us are, right? We all settled.
Yeah, I wanted the Performance. It just wasn't available. Plus, I didn't want to lose the $14,000 rebate that we were offered at the time.
Exactly.
So I did the math. I'm like 14 plus the difference between long range to performance. It just didn't make sense because you're looking at like a $30,000 difference. So I was one of those people who settled, for lack of better terms. Yeah. So, and I mean, Paul and you were saying you both wanted the all-wheel drive, right? So
Yeah. And we did the math too. Correct me if I'm wrong,
Yep.
Paul. I don't want to put words in your mouth.
No,
But
no,
for me,
absolutely.
it
We
was
talked
like
about it.
the 14 grand and then the 6 extra grand for all wheel up here. It's a
Yep.
it's a $20,000 difference.
Yeah.
Now that's Canadian 20,000, which is probably like 5,000 in the States. But still, you get my point, right?
But you know what? I'm not unhappy with the rear-wheel drive.
No.
I'm actually quite surprised at how good it is, even in the wintertime, right? So no regrets here.
Absolutely none either. And I've said this. I've told the story so many times. Same thing. Yeah.
yeah,
No regrets.
truthfully, I'm super happy with what I have. Yeah.
Yeah.
The range is phenomenal. So
Yeah.
that's the slight benefit, right?
Yes.
Cool. And you guys have any questions for Raf before we start up with the news? That was one of the most, like I said, uplifting, if not touching, emotional stories I've had a guest on the podcast say. Not to say that if you were a guest in the future and you come on, you have to try to
One up.
one up Raf or anything. I'm just saying.
Yeah, please don't. Please don't.
Yes, please don't.
You don't want to have a motorcycle accident just to look crazy. Yeah.
Absolutely not. No skydiving stories or anything like that. Speaking of stories, what I wanted to do last week. We ran out of time, and I told Franklin about this. Is near the end of the show, after we go through the news and we go through the few questions that we have from listeners, is do a new little segment where we just, anyone on the panel here, talk about their Tesla experience of the week or within the last couple weeks or whatever that you had in life that you thought may be interesting to the listeners at home or stuff like that. You don't have to, like, if you don't have anything. I know I'm many you guys down there, I'm on a panel, I'm sort of throwing this all at once to you guys as a surprise, so I apologize for that. Like I said, you don't have to. I've got a little story that I want to mention later, but if Franklin, I know Franklin, you still have that story from last week? Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, cool. We'll make sure we'll save some time for that for sure. But it's just a little segment. I wanted just add a little personal, real world touch to the podcast to just talk about our little adventures that we all as Tesla owners, we all have these little quirky stories or experiences that we have from time to time, even sometimes weekly or monthly. So if we can share it here with you guys, I think it might be interesting. If it doesn't work out and you guys don't like it, we'll scrap it after a couple weeks. But
you tell me how many stories you want, because I have a weekly podcast that is just about that.
You do? Yeah, it just talks about stories.
Yeah, we have it's in Spanish. It's a Spanish podcast. It's on all platforms and also on YouTube. And every week we have a forum of 3 or 4 people. And the only thing we talk about is experiences with Tesla. No news, no controversy. It's only about that. It's the experience.
Very cool.
Yeah,
that's cool. I feel like I'm stealing something from you. I swear to God, I didn't get this from you, especially if it's in Spanish. I barely speak English. I certainly don't speak Spanish. So I apologize if it seems like I'm stealing this from you. And with your permission, I will ask you if you were the first to do it. I'll ask you if you don't mind us doing it. Yeah.
There's plenty of people, I'm sure, that are doing the same thing. I mean, when you have a Tesla, it's all about that, the experiences you have and the people you meet, and it's great.
No, I hear you. I agree. Okay, let's get to the news, and then we can get some questions out of the way, and then we can get to those experiences, or maybe do the experiences and get questions. By the way, if you have any questions and you're listening live, because we are doing this live, it's Tuesday, June 2nd right now. We're doing it's about 7:30 in the evening Eastern time. So if you're watching this and listening to it and you have any questions that you've wanted to get answered, ask us. We're not professionals. We may know the answer, we may not. We're not going to pretend. If we don't know, we'll all tell you we don't know, and together we'll find out for everyone's sake. So if you have any questions, leave it down in the comments below. But without any further ado, I think we should lead with the probably most exciting news of the week, or at least of the weekend or last week. And that obviously is, the SpaceX launch.
Woohoo!
Yes, and correct me if I'm wrong, guys. Were we not all excited to see that? Like,
It was amazing.
like some of us here, and I want to get his experience. Some of us here were actually at the launch because it happened to be in Florida. But
Yep.
anyways, we all know, and anyone that's listening or watching this podcast knows about the SpaceX launch that was originally planned for last Wednesday, and due to bad weather, that got scrubbed and it got pushed to Saturday, the 30th, and that almost got scrubbed. And then I think the I guess the space gods were with us, allowed us to watch the launch. Now I can say anything. I can read, like this article that I have up here is from Tesla, Drive Tesla Canada, and it's just basically saying it was a successful launch from beginning to end. Everything's been a successful. They still have to come back in they said 120 days. Did they not, guys? If I remember reading that somewhere correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I could sit here and I could read about it. I could ask everyone's opinions and everything, which I still want to get the guys here in Canada. I still want your opinions of if you watched it and how you felt and everything. But what I want to first start with is the man that was actually there and get his firsthand real world experience. And because I don't know about you guys, but I've never been to a launch, so I can't say I even profess to know what it feels like or what it's like. So Raph, you mind taking us through your day and telling us how the event was?
Yeah, absolutely. So as you guys know, with the whole pandemic going on, we couldn't get a premium spot where you go with more people to watch it. So we went to the first attempt, which was on Wednesday, May 27th. We drove from South Florida. I live near Miami in the Broward County, Fort Lauderdale area. We drove, it's about 2.5 hours. We drove to Cape Canaveral. And I always like, when I'm not at NASA Kennedy Space Center's visitors complex, I usually go to this really cool spot that's by the shore facing the launch pad. So we went there and we actually spent the night in the car in front of on the launch pad, getting ready for the next day because we knew that it was going to be packed. So we decided to drive the night before. We stayed there and then spend the whole day. And of course, as everybody knows, it got scrubbed. So that was a bust. But I got to see a lot of people that I haven't seen in a while. Like, for example, Michael Tesla Community was there, and some other club members from our Tesla club, as well as other Tesla owners that made their way over to that area. We were all, I was surprised because I only counted the people that I knew and that were part of the Tesla community were the only people on Wednesday that I saw wearing a mask.
Oh, wow.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, it was really weird because here we are taking care of ourselves, going to watch something that historical, and a lot of people were not taking precautions, but we were safe. We basically spent most of the time in the car. I had put cameras and tripods and stuff outside so that I could save my spot. And then when it was time for the launch, they got scrubbed. So we came back home, and then on Friday we went back. It was pretty much the same routine. We got an even better spot closer to the water, and that was the day that it launched. So last Friday we saw it right in front of our eyes. I had a couple of cameras pointing at it. And it was great. It was an incredible experience. I've been following space since I was a boy. And this was a particularly important launch because it's the first time in 9 years that we send astronauts from the United States that are from the United States and on a rocket built in the United States. And not only that, but it was also the first time ever in the history of mankind that a commercial spacecraft is the one sending humans to low Earth orbit. So every time it's been, governments, in our case, the US government in collaboration with other governments doing stuff, like the ISS. But this time it was all about SpaceX and Elon's teams in both Tesla and SpaceX, because it was a joint effort from his part. And then, of course, thousands of people from around the United States that collaborated with the mission and around the world on behalf of NASA. So it was a really emotional moment for me and for many people, knowing that you're watching these two brave guys, Robert and Doug, the astronauts that are now on the ISS, were taken by the Falcon 9, and you're just crossing your fingers and your toes and hoping for the best, that they are safe and that there's nothing going wrong. Although, as part of I guess, excuse me, I guess something that gave me a little bit of more hope is that even if anything went wrong, this is also the first time that there's a real emergency system that could keep the astronauts out of harm's way. So I felt pretty good about it. They had launched the same type of rocket many, many times. As a matter of fact, I think the past year alone, I think I've witnessed about 10 or more rocket launches in person. So this was a proven spacecraft. So in that sense, I felt really good. But once I saw them up in the air, it was just super emotional. I actually dropped to my knees.
Did you?
Wow.
Yeah, it was incredible. It was amazing.
I could see that. Yeah. No. I mean, I wasn't there. I haven't been to any launches like you said you have, and I don't know much about. As much as I'm fascinated about space travel and rockets and everything, I don't know the ins and outs like you do, by the sounds of it. But I can see that it could be very emotional, like all that whole build up and everything. And yeah, and the first time actual humans going into space with SpaceX is just awesome. My son, I tried whenever the launches come on, YouTube and the live feed and stuff like that. My son has seen probably maybe half a dozen, and he's always asked me, "Is there somebody in there? Is an astronaut in there?" And I've always told him, "No, there isn't." Well, Saturday was the first time I was able to say, "Hey, listen, buddy, there's actually astronauts in this one," and his face just lit up. You should have seen his face, like because he was expecting me to say no, like the other half a dozen times I did. But he was really excited to know. So that sounds like an awesome experience. I mean, I'm envious and jealous and proud too at the same time that you were able to go there and watch it and have you
jealous in a good way, obviously.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
who gets to go next after that?
Yeah, exactly. Well,
I'll go because I got the worst story, and
do you?
then Franklin can redeem us after that.
Okay.
How's that sound? Okay, so we had made plans to watch on the original day, right, when it was supposed to go, and it got scrapped by weather. And we had plans on the weekend. We were actually camping. So I think I'm the only one in the Tesla community who did not watch it live. So that's my story, but we had fun camping. Franklin, over to you.
No, so I've always been fascinated by space, mainly because I took a course at university called Life Beyond the Earth. This was like 6 years ago, I guess. The fascinating thing about it all was, at the time, they're only talking about NASA and the Canadians' contributions to NASA. So SpaceX wasn't even a huge talking point. And it's really fascinating to learn and understand how NASA functions and works. And then out of nowhere, like, not out of nowhere, but you know what I mean? You have SpaceX, which operates like vastly different, and they're able to accomplish so much more at a better cost at a shorter period of duration, shorter period of time. So it's really fascinating. Like, I follow SpaceX as much as I can. I'm still one of those people that use RSS feed, so I still follow all sorts of space topics. I find it really fascinating. But in terms of the event this past week, we hosted a live chat, and I invited as many people as who wanted to join on Twitter, and we actually shared a photo of it, and we all kind of watched it together. This was actually Dax's reaction that I screen captured and then cropped off and then shared online.
That's awesome.
Thank you very much, my friend. No, hey, you can't laugh at yourself. Who can you laugh at, right?
If you find that tweet, he told me not to share it here. If you find that tweet, go look under it. I did a little GIF edit of it. Definitely check it out. It's a pizza.
Oh, no, I only meant Noah's, and I thought it was going to be too much trouble for you. I'm putting this one on.
No.
Yeah.
It's okay.
No, that's all I meant.
So,
I thought this
One
was
other
the
thing-
first time he saw you naked, Franklin.
No, that's never.
Hold on, Dax. Wait. Leave that up for a sec. I think I can.
Now, Franklin, I'm glad you. Okay, that's the one he added to it.
Hold on, let's loop it. There you go. That's better. So, what I was going to say is one other thing I want to touch on, just in case we don't get to cover it. For anyone who has children, they had. Okay, so I'll give you a little bit of backstory later.
Franklin.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hate to interrupt you there. Do you still have that GIF running in the background?
I just shut it down.
Okay, because as soon as you put that GIF on, it did something to your mic and your audio. It sounded terrible. So
sorry.
So it still sounds bad. So I don't know if you want to see
on.
what you can do in the background on your end there.
Is that better?
No, it's still very. It's like a crackly, buzzing, hornet sounding. And he's probably just going to check and see if there's any technical difficulties and stuff like that. But here's an interesting thing. Like, yeah, it was fun. Franklin had that little thing, that little get together, like a Zoom live chat type of thing, and we watched it.
All right, we good?
There you were good. Yeah. So what did you learn from that, Franklin? Don't put up pictures with me eating pizza.
Okay, so I was going off on a totally different tangent, by the way. So, I don't remember which of the two. One of the astronauts were saying they want to bring up something to space that their children loved, and they love dinosaurs. So I don't know if any of you guys caught it, the little Thai dinosaur that they brought up to space.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, it's one of the sons, one of the astronauts' son's toy.
Yeah. So this little Thai dinosaur is going up to space. You can actually buy them on eBay for like $20. So if you want to buy something for your kid to remember it, it's not a bad little tinker where you can basically buy the same exact one. Thought I'd just throw it out there.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. Yeah. I've got to give the Canadiana perspective of this whole space launch and everything for people at home that may not know. The astronauts are named Bob and Doug, as we know, right? For any of the Americans, probably majority of Americans or anyone else around the world, unless you're Canadian, you wouldn't know what the significance of Bob and Doug means to Canadians. But let me just show you. Back in the day, I don't even know if it was SCTV, but anyways, back in the day, probably in the 80s, I want to say, correct me if I'm wrong, Paul, 70s or 80s. Yeah, okay.
70s, early 80s.
There was a show called, was it actually called Bob and Doug McKenzie? Or
it was a little bit before my time, but I'm certainly aware of it. You know, that's where the whole, hey, you know, like the A thing came from, and the
hosers.
Yeah.
It is Bob and Doug McKenzie.
Yeah. That's the name of the show, though? That was the name of the show?
Yeah, that was the name of the show.
Okay.
In 1980.
Yeah. They popularized, I can't say that tonight. Can you say that for me, that word?
Popularized?
Thank you. Molson Canadian.
Oh, yeah, eh? Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That's right, eh?
Yeah. So I have a Google search of their photos. This was I'm trying to remember. The one guy, they're both famous. I forget their names off the top of my head.
There's Aaron, something. He was in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Yes. I want to say Dan Aykroyd, but it wasn't Dan Aykroyd. Rick Moranis. That's right.
And Dave something.
We should know this, shouldn't we?
Oh, boy, we're not Canadians here, guys.
I know. Okay. Hold on. I'm going to pull it up here. We should know this.
I think there was a
Dave Thomas and Rick Moranis. Yes, Dave Thomas, Wendy's. Not the same Dave Thomas. But that's just a little Canadian point of view that I wanted to share with everyone.
Beauty,
Canadians. Yeah. Eh? Yeah. So you're probably glad you missed that one, Raph, because we were just talking Canadian stuff, eh?
Florida's
no. What did I miss?
Florida's half Canadian anyways.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Yes. From October to April, isn't it?
Wasn't there a petition at one point in time? I thought I got pretty good traction, just saying people wanting Canada to buy Florida, saying it's like.
You should have.
Really?
Yeah.
You guys have it really good over there. The stuff that's going on here right now is nerve-wracking.
Yes.
Yeah.
To say the least.
We should do a moment of silence.
Yes. Yeah. You know, I wasn't going to speak about it, and we're not going to dwell on it, but you know, we haven't forgotten what's going on worldwide, especially down in the States, and our thoughts and prayers are with everyone um, that are going through that, and our thoughts and prayers are with the families that are affected. And without getting this episode down, we're going to move on, not for insensitivity, but just because it's a separate thing. We've decided to have this podcast to hopefully get people's minds away from that, because it seems to be a little bit ongoing. Not to say that's not important, but we'll get our minds away from it, and you choose at your own leisure whether you want to stick with it or get your mind off it. We're going to move on. We're going to move on to another story. This happened, was it last week? Yeah, just last week, I think, just before the end of the month, where Tesla lowered their prices. Now, people say, now they lowered their prices on 3 out of their 4 models. Obviously, the Model Y wasn't touched because it makes sense. I mean, does anyone here think that that they should have lowered the Model 3? Or
I think they will. I think they will.
They may, but right now, I mean, it makes total sense to not touch it.
How does it work for people that are locked in like me who haven't received their vehicle yet? Right?
If you mean if they lower it?
Yeah.
Well,
See, and then it's kind of disadvantage to them to lower it, because then I'd be paying less than what I originally agreed to. Like, I'm not upset if they lower it. I'm just saying,
yeah,
like, I agreed to a price and I'm okay with it because obviously I agreed to it. So it's in Tesla's best interest to deliver it to all the people at least that have reservations on for the last couple of years before they start adjusting the price. That'd be my thought.
You know what? Like, I see it in a completely different way, right? And Elon has said many times in the past that, you know, as the technology, as he's able to drive down the costs, the input costs that go into the vehicle, that they would make the cars more accessible to people. So I see it as a good sign. I see it as a sign that their battery costs are coming down, that their manufacturing processes are improving. So I think it's fantastic for that reason.
You should get the lowest price.
Oh yeah, Tesla's always known to do the right thing. I think if
Yep.
they raised it, they would lock you into what you originally wanted to pay for it or agreed to pay for it, which would be the lower price. But I think if they lower it, they would do the right thing and reflect that lower cost to you. So I don't think
I'm not worried about it. It's just more from the perspective of Tesla, right? What do you think the best possibility for them to do is, right?
Yeah, maybe as a shareholder, you may not agree with them.
This is going to allow them to sell more cars. So at the end of the day, yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm not against it by any means. I mean, if I could pay less, why would I not, right?
Exactly. Seeing you've got 6 on order, right?
No, I don't have
the same thing happened with the Model 3, right? Especially the performance version shortly after launch, where it got a price cut. And I can see why people might be upset about that.
Oh, people lost their minds.
Yeah, I know, but
something that rhymes with bread, maybe. I don't know. Anyway,
but you know, like I wasn't overly concerned about it. I'm going to drive the car for a long time. You know, I know this going in, that this is the business model, right? The technology is becoming democratized, and that means lower pricing as volumes increase. I could see Tesla's coming down even more in price as time progresses. I think they just sell more and make more margin.
People put too much weight on the pricing of Tesla. So basically, traditional automakers sell their cars to dealerships who then mark them up and then sell them to you. So the dealership has room to play with, because like you can go buy the same car at like 10 different dealerships and receive 10 different prices.
Yeah.
But with Tesla, because you're buying it directly from them, they set the price. So it's as Paul, like what Paul was saying, as the price, like as the technology gets better where they can make it cheaper, they're going to adjust the price accordingly. So we will see all the price adjustments live, versus an automaker who can still keep the price higher even though that the cost of making it is lower. So you don't really see that. It's just the profit margins that change. Whereas Tesla, because it's consumer to actual like manufacturer, it's just different. So I think people get freaked out by the price changing, which they really shouldn't, because it's just their model of business is different than traditional automakers.
Exactly. And Exactly, and they're not accustomed to it, right? They're like you said, it's a different model, and they're not accustomed to it. Here's this article that I'm putting up here for everyone that's watching is from Inside EVs, and they've broke it down. They did a really good job here. They've done the whole lineup other than the Roadster that Tesla has, from the Model 3 Standard Range Plus all the way to the Model Y Performance, and color coded it and showed what the range is, and it goes in like a bar graph what the range is, what the 0 to 60 is, and then in the new price reflections. So you're looking at 39,000. These are American prices for the base model, and it goes all the way up to, what is it, 96 and change, just the low 96s for a Performance Model S. That's, oh, actually, no, sorry. The Model X is 101, and that is the Performance Model X.
If I'm reading that correctly, why would you buy an X over a Y?
Oh, well, that's people have been saying that for a long time.
Well, I mean, the Model Y is actually bigger. It's a different type of vehicle. The majority of the people can get away with the Model Y versus the Model X. But the Model X is still the Fabergé egg, right? It's that mystical, thing that Elon created with France, and it's hard to replace that. The astronauts were using it, for God's sake, right? They moved the astronauts from the VAB, or Vehicle Assembly Building, to the launch pad just a couple of days ago in them.
Exactly.
So,
well, as everyone, I guess people who follow my channel knows, it's not everyone, obviously, but I also have a Model X, which my wife drives, and I can tell you that still to this day, and we bought it in 2017. If we go out to the shopping mall or something, those Falcon doors open up, it still attracts a crowd.
Oh yeah.
So I think there's still that type of wow factor around the X that helps it maintain its price point. Like it's really cool, like to see it happening, right? Where people just get all excited about the doors.
Yeah.
Is it because you're playing the music as you leave and you just walk away? And
I'm telling you, if you do that, then you're gonna get mobbed.
Oh, that Christmas thing, yeah. No, and I'm just gonna throw this up quickly to show that for our Canadian listeners. This is the model. This is the whole lineup. Once again, Tesla Drive Tesla Canada did a little thing and showed all the price changes. In the States, it was $2,000 for the Model 3 and $5,000 off for the Model S and X. Here in Canada, it was $3,000 and $7,000 because our dollar is different, right? So it brings down a Standard Range Plus Model 3 to $52,900. So basically $53,000. So that's not bad at all. And then it's still, in Canada, it's eligible for the $5,000 federal rebate. So that brings it under $50,000 at the end of it. That's a
hell of a value.
Yes.
Their conversion that they did isn't the actual dollar conversion. We actually gained
I was gonna say
15% or something. So
because of what our dollar is. Yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah.
But this wasn't the topic I was gonna bring up, guys. But I don't know if any of you guys watch the YouTube channel of this guy. His name is I'm not sure if this is his name, or I definitely know it's the name of his channel. I don't know his actual name, and I apologize for it. But Tailosive EV. I don't know if you guys ever watch it. He does like 5 or 6 minute videos talking. Basically, that's all. It's a discussion video where he talks about different topics almost on a daily basis, every couple of days, and he brings us some very interesting stuff. And he does it right in his living room in front of his TV. So it's interesting stuff. He's got a good following because he had a tech channel that he came from, where he did tech reviews and stuff like that. Anyways, I'm making a long story short, he brought up just this week or last week the possibility of, he was talking about Battery Day and talking about how the new tech in Battery Day that we're going to hopefully soon, one of these days, because I know they keep delaying it, hopefully we'll get it soon. But he was saying with the new 1,000,000-mile battery, which is slated, we're hoping that's what they're going to talk about. He was saying, wouldn't it be so cool if they talk about it, and obviously it's going to lower the price, hopefully, and maybe better the performance and all this kind of stuff. It's a whole different type of battery and a whole different engineering process and evolution of battery, hopefully. But he was saying, wouldn't it be cool if on battery day Tesla comes out and says, and you know what, this is our battery, and at the end, like the one more thing at the end, they say, you know what, it's been in the cars for the last 2 months. Every car that's been going off the production line for the last 2 months has it. And he brought it back to maybe that's why the price changed possibly. Now he did say it's far-fetched and it'd be a dream scenario, but made me think, you never know, it could be right. Like, wouldn't it be so cool if that they're doing this? And you were talking about it earlier, Franklin, how Tesla's a different type of car company. It's not traditional, where they do different things and they do different price structures. And we know how they make changes on the fly and they don't wait for model years. And Monroe was talking about that. Just he was on Ride Lightning, Ryan's podcast, and he was talking about that, how he's so impressed how they're not like traditional car companies, how we all know that they make changes on the fly on the production line and stuff like that. So wouldn't it be so cool if the new battery tech might be in the cars right now and we don't know about it, and they've just software locked so nobody knows, and then when they do the battery day they say, yep, it's been in the car all the time, that's why we've had an opportunity to lower the price. I'm just thinking it would be a cool thing. It would be
cool, but I don't know if it'll happen.
Yeah, no, like I think, and Telos did say when he talked about it that it's very far-fetched and the chances of it being true are rare. But
so I'm
nice
just gonna throw something out there and look. I don't want like a huge discussion on it, obviously, but because of everything that's going on, there's been a large number of tech events that have been scheduled for this month and next month that have been totally delayed indefinitely.
Yeah.
With the whole concept of we shouldn't be celebrating right now. We should be focusing on different things. So I don't know how that's going to correspond with Tesla and their battery day event. But there's precedent, at least with the 10 or half a dozen or a dozen so tech events that I've been following that are supposed to come, which have been delayed, right? So I don't know if that's going to be the battery day event or not, but that might throw a wrench into your whole, hey, it has all these cars have batteries, right?
And I get it. That's why they're delaying it, right? It seems like Elon is pushing real hard to make it an actual where people show up, an actual people need to be there because he says there's something people need to see. Who knows what that something is? But if it wasn't so important for them, they could have easily have done this by now and have it streamed. And if there was any questions like they had for the other, what was it, the other day, the engineer, the one they had last April, I forget what that day was called, but where they had people come up.
Autonomy Day,
sorry. Yeah, Autonomy Day. Where they had people come up and ask questions. They could have easily do that like they do on the earnings call where people call in and ask the questions.
Well, I learned one thing about Elon. If he wants something, there's nothing really that stands in the way and stops him, right? So there's that too. So
yeah. What's your take on it, Raph? On battery day.
Yeah, so rumors from some insiders are that there's going to be an announcement related to batteries that is more of Tesla turning into a power company, kind of with virtual power plants where people will be able to use their battery storage to make money. There's a lot of stuff going on. The fact that they are working on new tech for the batteries that will allow those batteries to last in a car 1,000,000 miles means that when those batteries are retired, they can be recycled into power walls because the usage is different, right? There's a lot of stuff going on. I think that there's a rumor about the one more thing that's going to happen that's going to blow everybody away. So I think they're doing the right thing, taking their time for it. I definitely see Tesla's improvement. They've done it before. What you were saying that there may be some of the new stuff already in the cars that we don't know about. But at the same time, I wouldn't feel bad if that's not the case because this current iterations of these vehicles are incredible. They can stand on their own. Honestly, I don't think there's any better vehicles out there. I only wish that Tesla had more types of vehicles, but it's a young company, so they can't already have the pickups, the vans, the trucks, the semis. There's a lot of places where they can still thrive, but they have to do it, day by day. I'm waiting for my long range rear wheel drive Model Y, but I also have a reservation for the Cybertruck. So they're doing it right. They're doing it right, definitely.
I couldn't agree with you more. They are. You just know how we are as Tesla fans. We're very impatient. As you're saying, as you're telling the story, your story there, Franklin's down below pointing at the Cybertruck that he can't wait for, right beside you. So yeah. So speaking of Model Y, and you said you have a reservation for a long range. What's your take? Because we've talked about this on the channel before. There is a bird. Okay, he's gone now. I'm outside, remember, okay, guys? I see things that distract me very easily, like squirrels and stuff like that. There was a discussion months ago, before the Model Y even started delivering, talking about, I guess, the realism of the long-range Model Y and how it's not in the choices on the Model Y designer page. You're still holding out for it, Raf? You think?
Yeah.
You think? Yeah.
Yeah, the long range rear wheel drive is the one I want. It's about $6,000 or $7,000 cheaper than the next cheaper version at the moment. And if they build it, they will honor the price. That's why they haven't canceled any of the orders of the rear wheel drive or forced anyone to go with the dual motor. I definitely know that. I feel like it's going to have better range, just like was the case with the long range Model 3 versus the dual motor.
Yep.
And I'm sticking to it because, we want to transition the other two cars that we have in the house to EVs. But the main reason why I want a Model Y is because it's going to be our road trip vehicle. Now that I have the performance, the next thing that makes sense for us is a tripping car, right? A car for big trips. I know that when I get the Cybertruck, we're pretty much gonna live in that thing anyway.
I will.
Yeah, that was gonna be insane. I already have plans for so many things with the Cybertruck.
Okay, let me ask you this: Cybertruck. Well, no. Let me start over in order. Model 3, Model Y, Cybertruck for you. Are you going to keep all?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Bow down to you, buddy. That's awesome. I mean, I'm initially planning to keep the 3 and go for a get the Cybertruck. So my initial plan is to have 2 electric cars, but I can't imagine 3. I would love to.
Well, I mean, we have 3 adults in the house. We're looking to change all vehicles, so I think it makes sense. And at the very minimum, even if it's just the 3 vehicles for 2 of us, it's still gonna make sense because my car is gonna end up going to the racetracks.
Yeah, true.
A lot. So
Yeah.
Raf, can I ask you a question? When you traded in your rear-wheel drive, when you got rid of your rear-wheel drive for the performance, did you trade it in or did you sell it privately?
I traded it in at Tesla. Like,
were you happy with the price they gave you and the whole process? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
cool.
I was kicking myself to the fact that I paid for full self-driving on the car and never materialized fully. I got the $2,000 fire sale that they did way back when, but I did pay $5,000 for the enhanced Autopilot, which is what they started with.
Yeah.
And then I basically lost that. That doesn't come with you to the new Tesla. So, but if you don't think about that piece, I think they gave me a good deal. I gave them the car just a little bit over a year and a half with 52,000 miles. So
wow,
normal depreciation would just take the price down by a lot. I mean, you get the car out of the dealer, any car that you buy. Remember, cars are not it's not really an investment unless it's a company property where you can deduct it from the taxes and so on.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I'm happy. I'm happy.
Okay.
The funny thing is that I saw my car. They still have it, and they were selling it for a lot more money than they offered me. But then
Probably the case.
2 weeks ago, they dropped the price by $6,000.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and it's still it's so all things known, they gave me $35K for the car. So they put it up on the website for $49,000, and they just dropped it a couple of weeks ago. They dropped it to 43. I have a feeling that car is gonna go even lower. The car is a beast. If I can buy it, if they put it back at the same price, or if I can negotiate with them, I will buy that car back. The
That
price
was gonna be my question to you. Would you buy it back?
That would be great. Well, I think bad timing has a lot to do with what's going on right now with the pandemic and everything for dealerships. Like,
Yeah,
I could see why they drop it.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, if the taxi thing goes, like if the cars can be fully autonomous anytime soon, which I don't really see it very, very soon. I see it happening because, if you saw the demo when they were taking people to different places and no one was touching the wheel, they have the tech, but it's the tiny things that make a big difference, right? There's too many edge cases, and they're still polishing it. But when it goes live, any car that they own, it doesn't matter that they don't sell it. They're going to make money with those cars. They're going to put up the fleet, and those cars are going to basically Tesla Uber people, right?
Oh yeah.
It's a money maker. I mean, I think it's an exaggeration saying that a car like mine's, $200,000 because it can drive itself. But if you think about it, if that car doesn't stop only to charge, the amount of money that the car can make as a taxi, it's insane.
Yeah. No, I agree with you, and Franklin's on the same page as you too, to the same extent. We
I'm
all
a
are.
big believer in that.
Yeah, we all are.
Did you guys see today that Tesla on Autopilot has slammed into an overturned truck on a freeway?
No, yes, I saw that. The driver not paying attention slammed into that.
Yeah, no, I get it, right? Yeah. Like, see, because we're all Tesla owners, we understand Tesla. We understand how Autopilot works, and you have to pay attention. But to somebody on the outside who's not a Tesla owner, like they must just look at it and go, "Wow, that is just so stupid," right?
I know Dax said leave the stories for the end, but I'll give you a quick one. I was driving today on the highway, and I was in the far left lane trying to pass a truck. The truck was he was going straight originally when I was behind him, but he started weaving back and forth when I was beside him. I quickly flipped my car off of Autopilot, and I went into the shoulder a little bit, and then sped up as fast as I could so I didn't get sideswiped by an 18-wheeler truck. But if I were to get hit, is it Autopilot's fault for not swerving off, or is it my fault for not paying attention to take off Autopilot to move out of the truck's way who's coming into my lane?
It's always your fault.
See, but my point though, Franklin, is that again, not in the Tesla community, but just people watching on the periphery around Tesla and full self-driving, right? I mean, are you going to be comfortable getting into a robotaxi when there's a video today with the car on Autopilot slamming into a stationary object on the freeway, right?
No, it's fair.
Yeah, I'm just making the comment, right? I mean,
No, and it's fair, and this is why I kind of brought up my example, because it's Autopilot's not polished yet, but people who drive it as if it is and are getting in accidents are the ones who are giving it a bad reputation, right?
Yeah, absolutely, no doubt about it.
And I think too. So I put up a poll on Twitter saying if you've had your hardware upgrade yet or not, and I'll get to the reason why I'm saying this. Based off my poll, 50% have had their upgrade. Actually, no, it was a little bit higher. Basically, when I did the math, there's outstanding about 80,000 cars outstanding that need to get a hardware upgrade. So Tesla has their whole rewrite. I'm going to guess the minute that 80,000 have been upgraded, that's when we're going to see the rewrite, and that's when we're going to see Autopilot increase tremendously. I think Tesla's holding out until at least 80,000 people is still a lot of cars. Again, that's if my Twitter polls extrapolated data is correct to the real world. And I think I had 1,000 votes on it, so it's not too bad. But I mean, it's not a large number by any means. But But let's say my number's off. Let's say it's even 50,000. Still 50,000 cars that need to be upgraded. It's a lot. So I think when we see the cars upgraded, we're going to see the full rewrite, and that's when we're going to start seeing a lot of these edge cases and a lot of these random little bugs. At least, I'm not saying all of them all at once, but I'm saying you're going to see a huge improvement because the car will finally be able to take use of the whole entire hardware, which, yeah.
I'm hoping so, and I've heard you give that theory before, and I agree. I subscribe to it. I agree to it. So we'll
just
see.
Something random. Okay, just something random. I'm gonna throw in. Don't want to reveal my source, but I've been posting some.
Hold on. This deserves large screen. Go ahead.
No, I've been posting some data file tidbits on Twitter lately. I've only have 2 of them between yesterday. I've been digging through files and stuff like that. So I have access to a modified or hacked Tesla now. And I was going somewhere with this. Oh, yeah. So you can actually see like RAM usage. And I have access to a 2.5. And RAM usage is like extremely well optimized. So Teslas run like really, really well. So I'm super fascinated to see how Harbor 3 works. And I don't really feel like taking apart my car to figure it out. But yeah, 2.5 is amazing, what Tesla's done from a technological standpoint. So,
how much RAM is in it? Did you?
I haven't been able to figure out exact numbers, but I can see percentages of usage at any given time during drives. So yeah, it's like optimized like crazy. It's really cool.
Wow.
Under 80% utilization, or?
Yeah, under 80%.
Very good. And that's what 2.5.
Yeah, I was gonna
With
say
2.5, yeah.
Yeah, wow.
Okay, well, let's move on to our last topic, and this one could just be quick. It came out today, and it could be quick because I'm not sure that it pertains to everyone, especially people down in Florida. But Tesla launched their Model 3 all-weather protection kit today. Is it today? Yeah. Sorry, yesterday.
Yesterday.
This article is brought to you by Electric. They're trying to help out with the paint issues and stuff like that. What do you guys take? Okay, first of all, it's a $50 US kit, $70 here in Canada. Do you think that that money is worth it? And B, do you think that Tesla should not be charging for this and should be fixing this themselves because it's a design flaw or a paint issue? Like, I mean, I've heard, I run the Canadian Facebook Tesla Model 3 group, and I've heard so many people complain and so many different explanations and theories on what they think Tesla should do or shouldn't do. So
no for A.
You want to hear from me?
Yes, I want to hear from all you guys.
Okay, so I personally think that at $50 they're giving it away. They don't have to do that. They don't even have to do it for free. I think their cars are great. Real true experts of paint jobs have said that the quality of the paint that's coming out from Tesla right now is up to par with the best. The problem is that Tesla is under a microscope, and every little detail, just like happens to other manufacturers, it gets amplified. This kit it's not a big deal. $50 or $70 is basically nothing. It will protect the car a little bit, especially in places where there's where they throw salt and snowy places and where there's a lot of dirt and grime on the road. I have even though I hate the way it looks with those things, I have even considered it because my car is wrapped. It's crazy wrap that Elon actually likes, and my car will hit the racetrack, and all that rubber is gonna fly somewhere. It's gonna stick to my wrap, so I may put the mud flaps on it. But the way that I'm gonna drive that car is probably pointless because it's gonna get it's gonna get banged up everywhere. But I think it's a good deal, really.
I think so. That includes all 4 corners, right? Like it gets a section for all 4 corners.
It looks
like
like
a good price.
Looking at the diagram here in the pictures, or the pictures here on the website, it looks like it's the back for sure in that red one. Yeah. And the blue one here, I think what the blue one is depicting here is the mud guards, the mud flaps.
So it's $50.
$100.
It's two separate pricing, so it's 50 for one and 50 for the other. So you're looking at 100 US for both.
I see.
So truthfully, I think the product itself is not that great. You can get better aftermarket equivalents cheaper, but at the same time, Tesla shouldn't be giving it away for free. They're not obligated to. So, I mean, if you want to go for the Tesla ones, go for it. They're here for you, and you have to pay for them. Because I don't know any other dealership that would go and give you free stuff after you purchase your car,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Well, exactly.
It has in the past.
Yeah. So,
Well, the other problem too, not the problem, the other theory I've heard, I agree with you, Raf, where I think people complain and people come down on Tesla paint too much. But I have heard a theory, and if I'm not mistaken, it's from our good buddy Trevor, and I fully agree with him. There's so much stringent rules and regulations in California when it comes to paint and chemicals and stuff like that. That, remember, Tesla's the only auto manufacturer in California. So if they're locked in a restriction bubble where their paint and everyone else in different states and different countries can make their paint better because they're not held to those restrictions, of course their paint's going to be better. Whereas California, so two things. A, I'd like to know how the paint is on a Chinese
that's what I was going to say. Yeah.
How it'll be on the Berlin cars. And we're assuming this is going to be Texas. They say they're going to be making Model Ys there because we know the Cybertruck's not going to have paint. So and probably the easiest example will be see what the Model Y Texas cars are going to be like with their paint and see if this paint restriction issue that people are saying is California, if it's true. I think it is. I know California has a lot of restrictions.
My understanding is that the issues that they had in the past are gone now by experts, especially when compared to supercars.
Yeah.
It's difficult, right? Because they were in a learning process. That's why they got rid of some of the colors, and they don't have a big variety of colors. They're trying to minimize the complexity on their operation. I think the hardest car that they have is the red, and they're doing a pretty decent job. As a matter of fact, I saw a red one the other day. It's insane. It just looks like...
I was going to say, Paul and I both have a red one. Paul, you have any problems with yours?
None whatsoever. The paint job is held up really nice.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm impressed with how well it's held up. So that's through Canadian winters, and Paul has it even worse than I do in terms of weather. So
then you got to wonder if these people that are complaining about paint are they the type of people that if they bought a laptop at Best Buy, they complain about that. You know what I mean? Like, are they the type of people that will complain? A consumer that complain?
You're saying you have a Facebook page filled with complainers? Is that what you're trying to say?
Well, I've got a. You know what? For every complaint that I get in my group, I have 10 people, not as fanboys, but as true owners that have had the car as long as we have, that have come up to whether defend or agree. Because the good thing with my group, it's well moderated and it's got some for the most part, some common sense people that they'll admit when Tesla's wrong and they'll admit when Tesla needs defending too. So I think there are a good bunch of groups, and anyone listening from my Tesla group, hi.
I think what's happened is like the three of us here in Canada, right? So Mother Frunker, myself, and Dax, we have fairly early Model 3s, right, by VIN number. And I think what happened was some of the earlier cars, right, must have had a different paint formulation, because my paint is like really, really nice, like even after almost 2 years now and 2 Canadian winters. And then I think in the middle, they maybe did some reformulation to try to drive down cost, right, would be my theory. And maybe there was a period of time where the paint wasn't as good as it could be. And that's where maybe we're seeing the complaints. And then today, to Raf's point, they might be back with another really great formulation of paint. Just theory, right?
I think they just learned, as they go, they could be doing things well, make mistakes, fix those, continue doing the good job. And it's a very dynamic company and very interesting.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on because I think I see a cloud back there. He can't pick it up on camera. But let's move. Also, we want to get in these experiences if we can, and we got 2 questions. We're finished with the topics. Unless you guys have any news that you want to bring up and discuss, we're going to move on to questions if you guys want. Let's move on to questions. Now we got two questions. I don't know if you guys will be able to answer this. If you can, you can. If you can't, then by all means, that's fine. If you can't, this one question is by Francis Amand. Amand, I think is French, but don't quote me. Like I said, I barely speak English. So, Paul, can you pronounce that any better, or Franklin? Or
I've seen Tom Campbell.
I'm seeing Tom Campbell. Yeah.
Yeah, I can pronounce that pretty well.
Tom
Oh,
Campbell.
Jesus, I'm looking at the wrong one.
Frank and Trunk lift.
Yeah, sorry. Okay, you're right. I was looking at the wrong slide.
Yeah.
I tried my best to search for the feature, but I didn't get any relevant hits. Can you please recommend a brand and advise how challenging it is? Thanks for your time.
There you go. I read the wrong one completely.
All right, this one was easy, Dax. We got this one for you. You get the next one.
Okay, you guys got any answers for that?
If you want just like basic struts, I'm not sure. I have Hancho on mine, which works out well. Installation isn't too bad. There's videos online you can follow, and it works out well.
Yeah, I think there's the Hancho ones, the fully automatic ones that are pretty pricey, but you get what you pay for. It's a good company from what I understand and from what I've seen. Mark has it. I think you have it.
I have it as well, yeah.
Raf, do you have any automatic things on yours? I can't remember.
I received the Hancho trunk kit in January. I haven't installed it yet.
Okay. It's good that you have it though. For the front or the back?
If it makes you feel better, I have the frunk installed. I got both the frunk and the trunk back in October. I only installed the frunk, haven't installed the trunk yet, so we'll get there.
Yeah, my thing is that I'm giving a couple of people the chance to install it so that I can record them and promote them.
Yeah.
But with the whole pandemic right now, I haven't been able to coordinate that. If it's not one thing, it's the other. I'm able to do it myself. I mean, I've done crazier thing. I mean, last weekend I changed the suspension on my car myself here. Like I replaced the springs on it. So I can do the job. I just trying to find someone that wants to do it so that I can promote them for free. Like I don't have anything to gain because I can do it myself.
Yeah.
But they are all busy, and if it doesn't happen in the next week or so, I'm gonna do it myself.
Okay. Good stuff.
Mark mentioned in the chat, Tesla Offer is what he has installed. It's kind of difficult if you don't know how it works on your cars. It's the same company as Hancho.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, like a sister company type of thing, maybe?
I'm not sure. I guess so. Just thought I'd throw it out there because you left the comment.
Now, if you're just looking if the Tom is just looking for ones just for the struts that are just regular gas filled struts and they're not electronic, then I can tell you that I've got those on my car. Now, for the back ones, you got to be careful what you get because you can get a lot of them off Amazon and eBay and stuff like that. But you got to be careful because some of the other manufacturers, like I think it's close to a Volvo. Don't quote me on it, but I think it's close to a Volvo model strut that you need. And you can do a Google search. There's lots of topics, like even videos. I think I did a video last year on it. But what I'm trying to say is make sure you get the ones that say USA on, made in USA, because there's one that says made in Turkey. And this is actually our friend Anthony Tessa Milton. He lives just down there. Not that actual house, but further down there. He said that he's the one that told me this. If you get the ones that say made in Turkey, they're not going to be the right ones. They're inferior. And the amount of gas when the trunk opens up and how much pressure it has and it bounces and rocks, that's not what you want. That's what I had originally, and then I changed after hearing his advice. I changed that to these USA ones, and they are perfect. They go up like this, they stop near the top, and then it just minimizes, has hardly any kind of bounce. You don't want a bouncing trunk. You don't want it at all. So go online if that's what you're looking for. Do a search for a Google search for videos, installations, and stuff like that, or look in my YouTube channel. There is a video I did now thinking about it that I did.
That's the one where you broke your window?
Yes, it is. But I didn't put that in the video. Thanks for bringing that up, Paul. No,
I'm
it is
always
what it
there for you, Dax. I'm
is.
always
It is.
there for
Okay, moving on to the next question because let's get these some of these other things in there too. Okay, so are we all seeing the same thing I'm seeing, guys? Francis, Paul, this time. Now,
Do any of
Francis,
you have to occasionally track the mileage of your car for business? I'm wondering if there's any Android or car apps that can do this. One that would integrate with the car system and get the start and end odometer reading as well as kilometers driven. This way I can submit at the end of the year for my work. By the way, asking this as I impatiently wait for the car delivery.
thanks for reading that. I didn't even ask you to read it, Franklin, but thanks for reading it because I think you are the only Android guy here. Well, no, Paul is
I do
agnostic. Yes, you
I'm using iPhone today.
today, but that doesn't mean you'll be using iPhone tomorrow.
That's right.
Yes, so maybe both you guys can answer because Raf, you're a iPhone guy, right? Like I am.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. Yeah, sure. I'll start. Well, first off, I mean, I'm not aware of any ones that use the that little what's it, OMB sensor thing that you plug in. But for work, right? I know there's a lot of companies that use. My company, for example, uses a product called Expensify. There's a number of them, and it'll use the GPS to basically do the same thing. So if you can't find something that takes it directly from the car, maybe your business already has this a product that they use for doing expense reports that has a built-in feature with GPS that you can use.
Franklin, do you know? And I don't hate to put you on a spot, but if you don't, you don't. Do you know of
So-
anything?
The only thing I can think of, honestly, is if you're using there's Teslab on Android, which should work. And man, I'm drawing a blank now. It's the most popular stats tracking app for Tesla.
Tesla
Tesla?
stats and yeah,
That's-
Tesla is
Tesla.
the one that I use. Yeah.
Yeah, there's Teslafy as well, right? Which will track all your statistics, which will help you, right? Where you can see all your trips and stuff like that. There's also the Tesla API, which if you want to build your own thing, you can, of course. Actually, Mark, who's in the chat, has a Tesla app. I don't know if you wanted me to shout it out, but he has a Tesla app that he's been making where it actually tracks short trips with distances and stuff like that. And it works really, really well. So for his question for his usage, his app would actually work fantastic. I've been playing around with it for the last 2 weeks, trying to help Mark out with dual cards and location tracking and stuff like that. But his app works really, really well. So for short distances, it's great.
I think, as somebody who does a lot of expense reports, I'm just going to go off on a tangent here. I think that's overcomplicating it. I think you want to use an app that, like Expensify, and there's a bunch of others that will automatically generate your expense report for you. So you don't have to get the information from your car and then go now and do your expense report. I'm just saying, somebody does a lot of expense reports, I'm going to stick with the GPS.
Well, I know Mark Backseat Baller does it. The way he does it is your car will show you since your last charge. So let's say you plug in your car in the morning, you have it charged up, you go to work, you work all day, you come home, it's going to show you exactly what you used throughout the day from your last charge. You just have to jot that number. So if you get in the habit every night, you just jot down that number that it gives you, and it's not that hard. You just track it exactly the way you used to. Right? That number's always there available to you.
Yeah. So. Some good advice, guys. Now can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah.
For some reason, it sounds weird in my headphones. Good advice. I took the liberty when I got this question earlier today, and I actually did a little bit of research, and I found an app called, where is it here? I won't be able to pull it up on the screen. It's called Mile IQ. And I thought originally when I first saw it, it was an iPhone app only, but I found out that it is for Android too. And let me see if I can pull it up here. Mile IQ. The good thing with this is, from what I understand, it is something that you can give to the CRA, which for anyone not in Canada, it's the Canadian Revenue Agency, which is the equivalent to the IRS in the States. You can give it to the CRA, and apparently the CRA accepts it. So I don't know if the CRA accepts it, if that means IRS will accept it. Speaking for the question that was asked, I know the CRA accepts it. So it is both Google Play and Apple's App Store apps
That's
for it.
kind of cool.
It's supposed to be really good. It's supposed to be totally integrated. It's supposed to be exactly what that person, who was it? Lamont, I forget the name.
What they wanted, basically. It's exactly what they wanted. Yeah.
What Francis wanted. So I think that doesn't over complicate things, because I think everything's done exactly, and then it's put into a spreadsheet, if I'm not mistaken. So
Dex, are you able to pull up my screen real quick?
yes, I am.
I have it shared with you. So this is actually Mark's. So it works really well. You can see all the different drives I did today. So you can see this one, for example. You can see exact kilometers, distances, range, and all that sort of stuff. And it's really
cool.
fast to see like how much you charge and all that sort of stuff. So it's really, really slick. I don't want to show off too much, mainly because of personal data and stuff like that. But yeah, it's really, really quick.
Who made this?
This is Mark.
Mark.
The one who's always he's always in the chat, Mark Lindsay.
Okay, Mark Lindsay. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
so it's
awesome.
Tesla tip, like TIP.com.
Oh, cool. Good for you, Mark.
Yeah,
I
it's really cool.
thought you meant Mark the Backseat Baller. And I'm like, I never knew Mark did this kind of stuff. Nothing against you, Mark.
Raphael has to go.
Ralph's got to go. Okay, sorry, buddy. I haven't been paying attention to the.
Yeah, no, that's okay. Guys, thank you for having me on the show. I have another commitment that I have to attend to. If you guys, want to reach out for anything else, any question you or your viewers have that I can answer, just let me know.
Yeah. Okay, buddy. Like I said at the beginning of the show, thanks for coming on. Your commitment or your devotion just to come on for however long it was great. You stayed way more than I would have expected anyone, especially from Florida, to stay, because like Paul said, your hands are tired, your arms are tired. But thanks for coming on. Can you, before you go, you just want to let everyone know where they can find you if they don't know already?
Yeah, sure. You can find me always on Twitter under the Teslatino handle, as well as on YouTube. I have my YouTube English channel is just Teslatino. In Spanish is Teslatino Español. And if anyone that's listening to the show is also in the Florida area and wants to be part of the official Tesla Owners Club, you can go to TeslaClubSouthFlorida.com and you can register for free.
South Florida for free. You heard it there, folks. If you haven't already, go do it right now. And you also have that podcast where you guys talk just about no news, just about other stuff, right?
Yes, we have it's a Spanish podcast. It goes out every week. We're on our 41st episode already, I think, something like that. We do it weekly, and it's all about experiences. It's a fun podcast in Spanish. Anyone that wants to join, you can find it on any podcast platform, as well as on YouTube under the name S Tesla. So like it is Tesla, but in Spanish the letter E, the letter S, Tesla.
Yes, Tesla. S Tesla. Perfect.
S Tesla. Yep.
Thanks very much for coming on, buddy.
You got it, guys. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for having me.
Bye.
Have a good night.
See ya.
Cheers.
Bye-bye. And then there were three. We're gonna do just like Raph there. We're gonna end off soon. Just want to get in a couple experiences. Paul, if you don't have any, that's fine. We can do one next week if you're on next week or the week after. But I know Franklin has one and I have one. So if you have one, let us know.
I don't have one. I haven't driven.
Yeah, there you go. So Franklin, I'll let you do the honors. And
I'm with you. I don't drive too much. But so I was going to Costco, and shout out to Costco where I live, like the cleanest store in my city, really well patrolled. But anyway, I was at Costco, and coming out, this is like the first time it's ever happened to me. And I know it's like a silly little story, but I was walking out towards my car, and then I realized, I'm like, wait a second, I didn't park forwards. I always park in reverse, right? But the car had chrome delete on it. It was red, and it was pretty, like, the car looked identical to mine, obviously. All the little modifications they did to my car, they did to theirs. And I was parked like 7 spots over from mine. So it was like the first time ever where I went out to the parking lot where I almost got confused in terms of getting into my car. Because normally it's like, oh, I just go and get in the red Tesla. Like, it's never a problem. Not only was it a red Tesla, but it had like the chrome delete. It had everything. So just that's my little driving story, I guess, or parking story. I don't know.
Your parking story.
Yeah.
That's funny. Like, I guess it could happen, right? It could happen.
And it's a good thing, right? It just means that you pulled it up. It just means that it just means that more and more Teslas are appearing, and it's a great thing. But that's the first time it's happened to me in my city, so it's cool to see.
That's funny. It's a funny story. And I'm only pulling this picture up not to show people at home, but to show you so you know what your car looks like.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. In case I forget.
Yeah, you know me. I'm looking out for you, buddy. Well, that's an issue.
I don't know why I didn't Smart Summon it that day.
Yeah, that's true. You're always doing it, eh?
Yeah, because I went back.
At Costco? You really want to do it at a Costco?
I went back a couple of days ago, and I Smart Summoned it in a Costco parking lot. It worked flawlessly.
Really? You got balls, buddy, to do it at a Costco. Yeah. I don't know.
But I make sure that there's no like crazy car traffic. Pedestrian traffic's fine.
Yeah, because that's right. In Brampton, there's no car traffic in Costco. Jesus, what are you talking about, dude? It's Brampton.
No, I was looking. Okay, forget it. Go ahead. What's your story, Dax, so we can butcher it?
I'm just kidding, dude. No, mine's actually, it's a weird, funny story. Funny as in not hilarious funny, like humor. But so we had to go north this weekend. My wife needed to check out one of her family members from a distance. We took mass and everything, so we respected all the stuff. But it was 3 hours away. So we first thought we were going to take the electric car, the Model 3, and then I realized we would make it and we'd get back, but we'd have to stop in Belleville or Peterborough to charge. And nothing wrong with that. We could have, but long story short, we decided not to. So for the first time in probably 2 or 3 months, we decided to drive for a long distance my wife's ice car, which is her truck, which is a Toyota Tacoma. Also, the other reason why is we haven't, like I said, we haven't driven that in a long time. So we wanted to put some miles on it, get the engine going, and, stuff like that. So filled it up. By the way, on for a nice car, and I know this is a Tesla channel, but for a nice car, the car is really good on gas when it's on the highway. When it's off the highway, it sucks gas like a pig. But when it's on the highway, just like most gas cars, it was getting over probably like 650 to a tank is what I estimated it to get. But I get in the car, like I said, I get at the gas station, leave first thing in the morning, get in the car, and I'm driving, and it's got cruise control. It's got like adaptive cruise control where it's got the radar and everything. So I'm not worried about. I set the cruise control to 115, 120, and I don't worry about the car in front of me because I know it's going to brake and slow down and everything. But guys, I tell you, the concentration and the amount of brain power, and I'm not a smart guy, so make jokes, insert jokes wherever you want here, Franklin. But the amount of brain power,
you're a smart guy.
I know the amount of brain power I had to be disciplined with and go through to try to tell myself to keep my hand on the wheel, because I kept thinking I'm on the highway, I don't have my foot on the gas in this case, just near the brake, and I'm thinking I've just got this habit to let go of the wheel or just hold it with like my thumb, like I'm accustomed to when I'm on autopilot. And coming up to corners and stuff like that, and little bends on the highway, I'm like, I had to mentally prepare myself to, Dax, don't let go of the wheel, don't let go of the wheel, because it's weird. It's like I said, it sounds like a stupid thing, it sounds like a funny thing, but I had to, for the first 20-30 minutes. After that, it was fine. But for the first 20-30 minutes, it was like I found myself paying close attention to not like to drive. And then when I was driving and I had both hands on the wheel and I'm concentrating to drive and everything, I find myself like going in and out of the lanes. I thought to myself, I didn't say anything to my wife because I'm thinking she's going to freak out. She would be like, let me drive, right? But I'm thinking to myself, I am so spoiled with this Tesla, and I'm so spoiled of Autopilot. It's like I felt like so barbaric and so stupid to have to learn to drive again.
And this is why I said Autopilot is 100% worth the money, even at its current rate. just for mental stress. If you live in, especially if you live in an area that has bumper to bumper traffic, or if you're doing long distance travels and stuff like that, the mental fatigue that you don't have after a trip, like I put a value on that, and it's fairly high, right? So
No,
Yeah.
I hear you, buddy. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember last fall when I was at the Tesla factory in Fremont, right?
yeah,
I had to rent a car, and they didn't have any EVs, so I hadn't driven a gas car in almost 2 years at that point. And I swear to God, like I had to relearn how to drive, like the jerky pedal, the whole get gas thing.
Yeah.
So-
No,
Train
I-
myself.
So I've had my car for just over 2 years now, officially.
we all have.
Yeah, okay, we all got it at the same time. So last year I was trying to do a video of going back to a nice car for a week. I gave it in after the second day because I just couldn't. I said the video would just be me complaining the whole time of all the things I lost out of my Tesla. So
Yeah.
that video never saw the light of day. But
No, I hear you. It's like I thought of it after. If it wasn't for at least that truck having, like I said, traffic aware cruise control, TAC. If it didn't have that, I swear I would have rear-ended a car because I wouldn't have. I'm too busy trying to steer. I wouldn't have thought of having to. God, I
plus
got
no regen braking.
The
Yeah.
whole concept of
Exactly.
cruise control, we didn't realize this at the time, but back in the day, how dangerous is that, right? Where it's just on cruise, but it won't stop.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, we considered it a convenience and a feature and a luxury, right? Yeah, we never thought of that. Yeah, now it's like barbaric.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
see, and next time you drive Dax, I want you to go. Next time you're driving your Tesla, obviously, I want you to look at the cars beside you and think about the mental stress that they're enduring driving their ICE vehicles.
Oh, I do. Buddy, I take nothing for granted anymore.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's our little story. We'll try to share one of these once a week or once every couple of weeks and stuff like that as they come up. Not with the pandemic, like Paul and Franklin are saying, we don't drive much, but the few times we do, little funny, little quirky stories like that, and we figure we'll spice up, make the podcast a little more interesting. Anyways, folks, I hope you enjoyed it. That's it for this week's podcast. Like I said, the first week of June. Join us here next week, Tuesday or Wednesday, not sure yet. We haven't hammered down a time or a exact date, but that's the beauty with this, right? You just come in whenever you go. The audio podcast will be up later in the week for all you audio listeners, and you can get that on TuneIn in your car, or you can get that on Apple podcast system. So thanks for watching, guys. Thanks very much for joining me. Thanks for helping me out. Raf, go check out Raf on his channel and stuff like that. Guys, before we go, where can people find you, Paul?
Any social media, Tesla Connect, youtube.com/Tesla Connect, Twitter handle, Tesla Connect. You get the deal.
Cool. Any video coming soon?
I've got a video coming.
Sweet. Can't
I've got a couple of them. I just have to film them.
Sweet. Sweet.
They're ideas still.
Franklin, where can people find you?
Mother Frunker on YouTube, M Frunker on Twitter.
Cool. Any videos coming?
Hopefully.
Cool. Can't wait.
I'm busy.
I need videos to watch and consume while I'm off with the kids and stuff like that.
Considering doing a series of hacking a Tesla, so we'll see.
Ooh.
Working on that.
Let me know if you need some help. I'd love to do that with you.
Yeah.
I mean, if you need a cameraman. Have you guys noticed it's getting darker here?
Yeah.
Well, on that note,
All right.
like those guys said, you can find me on the social media stuff. YouTube, you're watching it, so if you're listening, DaxM. And you can find me on Facebook if you're brave enough to go on Facebook these days. For the Canadian Model 3 group, the Canadian Model Y group, and I have a Cybertruck group too. And I have a bunch of different groups, but the Canadian Model 3 is the one that's going quite strong right now as the Model 3 start delivering in Canada, hopefully soon, then that'll pick up. And then when the Cybertruck starts delivering, then that's going to explode too. And that's probably where you'll find me. Until next time, folks, we'll catch you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye, guys.